Hey everyone, it's Megan here again with Balancing on the Borderline. I have put together this video. It's a couple of clips put together. I was originally talking about the fact that I've been anxious because I'm trying to figure out how I should proceed with my videos, and so just ignore that part. It's mostly to talk about post-traumatic stress disorder. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Feel like I have to come up with like almost like a lesson plan or something. I'm just going to talk about what's going on with me and then sort of incorporate knowledge and information about BPD into that, because then it's like applied concepts. So I'm like treading lightly here simply because of the fact like I have a history of trauma around it sounds so stupid when you say cyberbullying, and like it's a really severe form of abuse, like psychologically. I mean, the amount of pain that, whether it's cyberbullying or just general bullying, like face to face, it has some pretty detrimental impacts. And so to say it as like I was cyberbullied, I feel stupid, but I also know that that's me invalidating myself. So anyways, I have some reluctance just about, you know, how exactly to approach this, simply because I am worried about, you know, some sort of, not retaliation or retribution. I don't know what the word would be. I guess just negativity or being attacked or, you know, told that this is not my place, I shouldn't be sharing. When we look at something like PTSD, like post-traumatic stress disorder, or even, you know, a lot of schools of thought are kind of looking more at like post-traumatic stress response as opposed to disorder itself. In those instances, what you may be able to recognize as irrational thinking, in this instance, it would be me saying, okay, well, people aren't going to cyberbully me the same way that I was when I was in middle and high school. Your body doesn't necessarily have the ability to recognize that. So it actually has a lot to do with the way I picture it is like a glitch. Sort of, you know, something it's caught on repeat, you know, like a disc that keeps on skipping or something like that. Essentially, your brain is supposed to be able to sort of, it'll experience something and then you'll be able to process it. And over time, the emotional distress that came with it will come down. PTSD develops when your brain can't seem to recognize that the danger has passed. And so there's obviously, that's a really oversimplified explanation for it, but your nervous system, your central nervous system, so that's your brain and your spinal cord, but in particular it's sort of that reptile part of your brain, your limbic system, that has your amygdala and your hippocampus and whatnot, that deals with a lot of the emotional stuff, as well as memory. That kind of takes over when you're in a situation where there is some perceived threat. And so your brain ends up essentially looking at a situation and saying, okay, so there's these similarities between this situation and the one that I am stressed about. So that must mean that this is the same situation. And so you end up essentially having this physical reaction from your nervous system that is very difficult to subvert. Like, it's, you know, this idea of mind over matter doesn't necessarily work in these instances, because I mean, it's our fight or flight response. You know, it's our sympathetic nervous system sort of kicking into gear, because we are experiencing something that our brain believes is an actual legitimate threat. Even if I can still look at a situation and say, this is not the same as it was, this isn't the situation that I was in, my body is still going to react in that way. So, you know, I'm going to have an increased heart rate. My digestive system is going to stop it's not going to stop working, but like all of that blood flow around the organs is then of course put towards the larger muscle groups, things like your legs and whatnot, for running or for fighting or anything of that sort. And that's when your prefrontal cortex can kind of like take a back seat, because your thinking, your rational thinking and ability to use reason and logic definitely allows, you know, the amygdala to kind of take center stage and sort of start directing the show, so to speak. And so anyways, back to what I was saying, even though I know that I'm not in high school anymore, the fact is this is still the internet. This still scares the bejesus out of me because I am afraid of some sort of, you know, attacks or abuse. And I mean, I think that's normal for everybody when it comes to online related stuff. I mean, it's so much easier to be like a keyboard warrior where you can, you know, it's the same thing with cars too. I mean, when you're driving, you are that much braver in terms of being able to honk at people, flip them the bird, insult them, yell out the window, you know, or just be an asshole when you're driving, you know, cutting people off or getting in front of them and slowing down and those types of instances. It's the same thing when you're behind a computer screen, right? You're not face to face with an individual where there's going to be some form of dialogue or consequence, or the fact that you just have to have that same level of courage to be able to have this kind of interaction face to face. So we'll see how it goes. You'll have to forgive me for sort of, you know, tiptoeing around this issue that I'm concerned about in terms of just not so positive feedback.